Hi, and welcome to the Imperfect podcast. My name is Deb Crow, and I will be your host. Join me on this journey as we meet heart-centered leaders from all over the globe. Lots of interesting questions, interesting conversation, and find out what makes a leader. How do they handle uncertainty and complexity? How do they lead in a time that is volatile? Join us. Welcome back to Imperfect, the Heart-Centered Leadership podcast. And I'm really delighted this morning because an amazing lawyer who I've interviewed on the show from Kentucky, Lisa Wang, she reached out to me after we did her interview. And she said, Deb, I really strongly feel that you should interview a young man that I've got to know. So let me introduce you to Joseph Franklin, and let me tell you a little bit about him. If you ask him if he likes what he does, his answer is he absolutely loves what he does. He's an engager, he's a consultant, and he empowers people. There's no other way to put it. Joseph helps people find career positions that enable them to advance in life. And in his own words, it really pumps him up. He's an overzealous recruiter striving to get better within his craft each day. And I'm delighted to say he's another young leader, heart-centered leader that I'm so glad to have on the show. So Joseph, welcome to Imperfect.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, your energy is infectious and I'm excited for the interview. So I'm going to dig right in and start with my first leadership question if you're ready.
All right, I'm ready to go.
So I know from your history and your amazing LinkedIn profile, you spent 6 years in the Army National Guard. Would you share with us what led you to the Army and what transferable skills from that period of time do you feel that you bring to your heart-centered leadership?
All right, so what led me to the Army at the time? I was actually a student at Kentucky State University, and I was going through a few like turbulent times, like as it pertains to just being a student from out of state. And I wanted to be able to, be self-sufficient essentially, and financially be able to take care of myself while still, working towards achieving that degree. And I think that the National Guard presented a great option to be able to do that. And then on top of that, I knew I would gain some great leadership skills and just, I'm really into like novelty as well. So I knew a new environment would be so encouraging, and I understood that being in that area where people have seen so much success would essentially just be something that would be highly advantageous for me. So with that, I mean, it was a win-win-win-win-win across the board. I saw like no downsides to that. And from that, I made the decision to join the military.
I love that you have the openness for ebbing and flowing, and I am quite certain that the leadership that you learned from your superiors and your mentors at that time is serving you well in your recruiting role now. So kudos to you as a young leader.
Thank you, and of course, I want to answer the last part of your question too. And so from the military, situational awareness is something that I just like I carry with me every single day now, and that's something that I initially started, to understand that when I was a kid playing baseball, but it wasn't nearly as intense as it was in the military when your training essentially was so strong and had the vantage point of like your life being at stake if you're not aware of the situations that you're in, or someone else's life, someone else's, so like your battle buddy, the person that you care about. And so situational awareness was heightened, and like how that looks for me today is that if I have a task that I'm supposed to complete, then I need to just be able to understand how this task like impacts others on my team. How does this impact someone else, like the client that I'm looking to support? right? If we don't get this done today, it's on a Friday, right? So a lot of times people are like, oh, let's just move into the weekend. Let's just kind of mosey on in. No, no, no. If this doesn't get done today, all right, well, a lot of times people want to come in on Monday, like being able to like knock out certain goals. So now if this doesn't get completed on Friday, then there's a great chance that this task won't get completed until Tuesday. And what does that represent? If we're dealing with candidates, we're dealing with people with job offers, and them having to take that to their family, it would be great to get that offer out on a Friday so they can actually have that time to connect with their family and understand the decision, as opposed to Monday afternoon getting it and we still want an answer by Tuesday. So the whole aspect of situational awareness was so heightened. And I think that's like the biggest thing that I was able to take from the military. And it's just something that I'm very proud to have.
Well, as a young person, it's tremendously commendable. And I'll tell you what I love the most about your answer is the relatability to people and your ability at such a young age with your heart-centered leadership to put that intrinsic validation in the forefront. So again, kudos to you. I know the training from different professionals that I've spoke to in the military and just the enrichment of all the transferable skills that you bring to now your recruiting position. So very exciting, and it'll be fun to sit and watch your journey as you progress forward in your career and see where you're going to go. So my next question is, Joseph, what imperfections do you bring to your heart-centered leadership?
Yeah, I just feel like I'm a walking embodiment of imperfection, like all caps, and and so just like different things, like something small, but it's big to me. As I'm speaking, I've actually taken Toastmaster. I've been in Toastmaster sessions, so you have the grammarian that counts your filler words, right? So like, oh, that's an imperfection. You're gonna get a ton of filler words from me. Sometimes like my statements are very passion led, so often like I'm speaking with so much emotion that the structure of the actual message doesn't flow if you're just reading it like on a transcript level, but if you're in person you feel it. And as far as like being able to just be very vulnerable, as Brene Brown is high on like vulnerability, and she assesses it, she states that it's essentially courage. And I've never thought about me being like vulnerable and so courageous, but like I'm a guy that I'll tell you how I feel. And I never understood how impactful that would be in the professional space, because so many people wear the mask. So many people essentially feel like they have to, take on this persona that they're really not. And it's so deflating to them, to be able to be successful on like a metric front or on a professional front, but then come home and not feel connected to who they are. So I wear the imperfection, full-fledged as it pertains to just being highly vulnerable and essentially putting myself out there and just like continue to work to better my skills. But say I'm not afraid to hop on a podcast with Deborah Crow, knowing that I'll have a couple filler words, So that's just like the way that I am. That's how I approach life. And I really try my hardest to really encourage others to say that, encourage others to understand that imperfection is human.
Well, I love the start of your answer where you said, I'm a walking imperfection, and then literally laughed out loud. It doesn't get any better than that. Like if we can't laugh at ourselves and, that failing forward and always having a good mindset, a thriving mindset to be progressive. So good for you for learning that at such a young age. And this segues so beautifully into my next question. Your enjoyment for life, your fulfillment, and overall happiness of working with people. Tell us where that comes from. And did you ever envision yourself through all of your education to be in a recruiting position within the IT sector?
Oh man, so if I have to be very candid about that, I feel like it started back like watching like the public broadcasting station shows like Mr. Rogers and Barney when I was a kid. Like apparently my family they tell me I was like glued to the TV when I was a kid, and I just really took that on. But it was like a lot of great shows essentially that were in like firm contrast to like the area that I grew up in. So I grew up in Chicago, inner city, where, you know, it wasn't cool like to be like nice or just like a happy-go-lucky kid. But I was always like that guy that wanted to encourage people. I was always that guy that, you know, wanted to celebrate other success. I always preferred to do things with people as opposed to like do things on my own. And I just feel like, you know, my childhood, even like going through some of the things that I've experienced and being able to at this juncture, just, you know, call a spade a spade. Like I I've had some traumatic moments, you know, that I experienced, but like to know that I still could smile on the other side of that, like that was, you know, that I think that's like the most empowering piece of like my life. So it, you know, for me, it all started in my childhood and just being able to like smile even after the tears, you know, smile even after the disdain, or look myself in the mirror and not necessarily love what I see, but like I can smile because I feel like I'm going to get there, you know. And as it pertains like to me and my job, um, I understand that I think what makes me, you know, special in that space is that I'm just really able to support people as like at the baseline as a human being. Like, yes, we can go into career, you know, workshops. Like I can be a career advisor. I can help you with your resume. I can help you, you know, work out different things with the language on it, and make yourself more marketable. But, you know, I think at the baseline, I'm just helping people as a human being. And I never saw that coming. I had no clue that I would be working in the technology sector or working in recruitment. It wasn't like on my list, right? It wasn't like top 10. Like, yeah, I had no clue, but I had a fraternity brother that worked at the organization, and he referred me, and I was like, I was driven to like the unpredictability of things, and like, you know, the whole aspect of chaos. Like I'm like into all of that. And I was like, this is a space where I can really make an impact and really just growing like my skills as well. Like, so you'll hear me say a lot of like compound things, but I believe in just trying to like get as many wins as possible when you make a decision. They call that like a force multiplier in the military, right? You know, like how can you achieve so many goals with like one move? And when I made the move to work as a technology recruiter, I feel like that helped me achieve so many goals as a human being.
Joseph, you are so wise beyond your words. I want to thank you for the vulnerability to say there's always a smile after the tears, which shows me that your parents, maybe your grandparents, really fostered and taught you the importance of gratitude. And the force multiplier term, I think that's been completely transformed into who you are as a person and just your positive outlook for everything that you do, whether it's work related or in your personal life. So thank you for sharing such a personal feeling and giving us a little insight into your upbringing. And I certainly think it's unfolded quite well for you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that a ton. And yes, my family has been huge there. Absolutely.
Now, my last question for the leadership questions, is there someone that you hold in high regard, high esteem? And could you tell us who that person may be and if you were ever able to really receive and be fostered in a mentorship way?
Mm. Yeah. So there's so many. There's so many. So like, let me ask a question to you before I answer. It what take would you like? Would you like the personal take or like professional?
You can give us both because I'm happy to know that you've got two in both capacities. So share with us both.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. All right. So as it pertains to like personally, I do want to just make sure I'm giving this out as far as like giving you more insight as to like you know who I am and like how I got this way. So I have fun with the PBS comment because like I think that's like the power of programming and putting like the content out there. But my grandmother is someone I just hold in, you know, high regard. So when I think about like pioneer, is like I recently just started to understand that my grandmother is a pioneer, and that being she worked at Nabisco for 48 and a half years, and was able to be a homeowner on the south side of Chicago back in like 1967, where there were like less than like 2% of home loans going out to, blacks in the country at that time. And I hadn't like thought about it as such until I watched like a piece of content last week, and I'm like, goodness, like that my grandmother is like a pioneer, and she used to do things like go to work, like 14 days straight, 21 days straight, 28, and then she'll come in and she'll just like count out the number and you know what that indicated. And so like as far as like unofficial mentorship, I've been able to get a ton through her in the sense of just being able to follow things through, being able to showcase like, all right, what work ethic can get you, and amidst it all, like if there's a doubt in your mind about like people essentially like getting validated from others, there's still work that can be done where you can reap the value, whether it be from a company or whether it be from a support group, so she just let me know to keep going and keep working, and not just seek out like validation from like that one source. And so like in the areas where maybe she didn't feel great, she knew she can go into work and make an impact there and what that could do for her family. And so I really, my grandmother has been like my unofficial mentor when it comes to that. And as far as like on the professional front, there's an individual named Mike Powers. I got to give him a shout out. He's another veteran here in Kentucky. He, I think he had I think 3 tours, and served as a pilot, but he also is like a program manager for inclusion and diversity on the veteran space. This individual has been like someone that can, like he's like, I'm often like the only like black guy in rooms. Like I'm just so accustomed to it, right? He's the kind of guy that would be like the only white male sitting at a table and firmly immersed into conversations, firmly immersed into dialogue. He challenges me on like different readings. Like he introduced me to Brene Brown. He introduced me to like the Heath brothers. He takes me actual places, like to different conferences. So I've been to different conferences on the inclusion and diversity space. Oh, excuse me. And we say we put inclusion and diversity. We put the inclusion to action before the diversity at our company. So that's why I'm saying inclusion and diversity. So I just wanted to put that out there. But that's been an individual that Mike Powers has been an individual I've been able to like get amazing mentorship from throughout the years, and I just feel like he's helped really steer me on a path of success where I could still be like uniquely me, which individuality is so important to me, even as a teammate. I'm so community driven. I'm so big on together everyone achieves more. However, I feel we all have like unique gifts, and we all have like something that we bring to this lifetime that that only us can like manifest, or only us can like we can only be the one to showcase what it is. And so individuality is so important to me, even as you're comprising a team. And Mike has firmly catered to like that for me as he's mentored me throughout this time I've been in my career path.
Well, thank you for sharing both perspectives, because I also had an Irish Nana who left lots of remnants of her belief system, her core values. And it's so heartfelt to hear you speak of your grandma and knowing the pioneer that she was, and just all the things that she's been able to teach you. And I think for me, it's so wonderful to ask a young person, and right away, you already have someone in your life, in a mentor on a professional level, who's already made an imprint and an impression on you that you're carrying forward and putting into your heart-centered leadership. So well done, Joseph. Again, I'm going to say it. You are so wise beyond your young years. It's just refreshing to see that I'm talking to someone in the millennial generation, and your outlook and your attitude and your gratitude practice are going to take you so far. So again, well done.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
So we're going to switch gears now because I know you've listened to the show,
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
I'm going to ask you my Fab Four. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay. As a young professional, how would you describe 2020 in one word?
Memorable.
Share one of your goals and or dreams with us.
Yeah, I want to be a pioneer in the human capital management space. So if I could be as lofty as possible, right? Like, and just go like just over the top. Like, how could I put forth energy as if I were like to like win a Nobel Prize as it pertains to like helping people like land career opportunities that showcase their unique gifts. And that's that's essentially what I want to do. Like I don't even know if that's like even feasible, but I want to put forth that type of energy, as if we can really showcase the type of value that everyone brings to this world, and we can find ways where they can create access for opportunity and create financial. They can create financial progress by being able to leverage their skills and their talents.
So, being an older person and hearing that from you, I am a connector of people. And just in that response, I already know two people I'm going to connect you with today on
Thank you. Thank
LinkedIn.
you.
Do you see the beauty of communication?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
If you have clarity and you know what your goals and your dreams are, your aspirations, whatever you want to call them, you never know who someone else knows in their network. And networking is so powerful. So I'm making a note to introduce you to two specific people. And again, shout out to Lisa Lang for bringing you and I together, or this interview wouldn't even be happening today.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Lisa. I'm going to give her a call right after I get off here.
So my next question is, if you had to sit down the 16-year-old Joseph, what would you say to him?
It'd be so much, but the biggest thing, right? The biggest thing is um, breathe. Learn how to breathe. Like that sounds so like elementary, but like when I think about all the anxiety that I was going through, or how I just felt like I was so misunderstood, and no one like would sit down and connect with me, and I had all these ideas, like I was just so charged up. So even when I joined the military, I struggled at shooting because like my breathing was off. So that was the first time I had learned, like, all right, just work on your breathing techniques to be able to like to process your thoughts, right? And gather your bearings and like be able to deliver sound messages, So I would just simply tell myself to breathe, and then I would next tell myself to journal, right? So like start writing down these ideas, like get these things, and not just like a area where they're just written. Like try to like make this, like try to build like some type of continuity with it, so you can firmly reflect on your life. So as I'm turning 32 next week, and I can come back 16 years and see like, all right, what was I thinking at this time, like, and what was I on to, what were the challenges, all right, how would I go about this at this juncture of my life? So two things, definitely one on like the physical front with is just breathing, and then one more on the cognitive level, but very tactical as well. Start to journal your ideas in a pretty coherent manner.
Well, I'm going to say I'm a yoga teacher, so love the strategy for breathing. 5
Mhm.
deep breaths solve 99% of our problems at any given time.
Right.
And on a cognitive emotional level, journaling is great. It's the clarity to all. So again, well done. Two great strategies. My
Thank you. Thank you.
last question is, what do you want your legacy to be, Joseph?
All right. So I want people to understand that like stress and fun are not like mutually exclusive. So I love to have fun. You'll always see me with a smile on my face. But sometimes I can run into a very like stressful situation. Like I'm really big into like the aspect of chaos theory, right? Like I'm jumping into it. Like I want to understand like the constraints. I want to understand, things that um, inhibit progress. And at times I was like sacrifice a little bit of my well-being to really be able to understand it. So it's not that I'm just doing it like because I want to be a martyr or anything of that nature. No, no, no. I just feel like I don't want to just look at something and then say assess it without really understanding what that space really is defined by, and like the makeup of it. So my legacy, I want people to understand that I'm having fun even when I'm problem solving at a high level, and it could be highly stressful. So to be a complex problem solver and a guy that have fun every step of the way is what I want my legacy to be.
Well, I think you're well on your way to that legacy, and you're an impressionable young man. And I want to thank you for your time and your expertise. You've got a new friend here in Canada,
No,
and
thank you.
I'm excited to watch your journey as you progress in life and in your career. And I have a couple people I'm going to introduce you to, and happy to have a front row seat to watch all of your success, Joseph.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that a ton, and I'll continue to listen in to the podcast. And if there's anyone that I feel that you want to meet, I'll be sure to share them with you as well.
Well, it's all about how we can help each other. We rise and lift together.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I like to end my podcast with 5 things that I think are helpful to allow us to live a purposeful life. Follow your heart, have passion, do your best, know your truth, and always be in love with the journey. This is Deb Crow. Thank you once again for joining me on Imperfect, the Heart Centered Leadership Podcast.